Annihilation is a science fiction film that's directed by Garland and stars Natalie Portman, and the film is about a group of military scientists that go and explore this unknown place known as the Shimmer. Before I begin, a little backstory on this film. For all intents and purposes, this film was supposed to be shown in cinemas, but fearing that the film wouldn't make a profit overseas, Paramount dropped the international distribution for this film. So Netflix came and picked it up, and now we have it on our TV screens. And as soon as I saw the first shot of this film, I knew it's one of those films that was made to be shown on the screen. So knowing that I'll never get the chance to see this film on the big screen frustrates me. And even though Netflix owns the international distribution of this film, I don't consider it a Netflix original film, because this film was made way before Netflix bought the international distribution rights. But after watching this film, it was amazing. Visually, this film was spectacular, and the first two things I have to give top praise to is the visual effects and the production design. And going into this film, I had very high expectations because this was directed by Garland, and for most of his work, I've really enjoyed them. But as much as it pains me, something felt wrong with this movie. Let me make it clear, I very much enjoyed this film for what it was. Not once was I bored. The story itself was intriguing and fascinating. It's just certain things that bothered me and certain elements of this film that I picked out while watching it. For one thing, some of the characters aren't particularly strong. And that's a shame because in past Garland scripts, the characters have always been at their best. The characters in those films didn't feel like pointless nobodies. They had purpose to their role, and it was really sad when their characters died. But here, some of the characters felt very much expendable. Definitely the two strong characters without question, Natalie Portman and Jennifer Jason Leigh. All the other characters, yeah, they were just there waiting to die. That was pretty much their characters. Gina Rodriguez's character got on my nerves after a while, and I couldn't stand her character. And Tessa Thompson was just there pretty much. Another thing that bothered me was the way this film was structured. The film tends to jump from the past to the present every so often, and I thought that ruined the flow for this movie. And for anyone who's ever seen a film written by Garland, you know he leaves ambiguity in his film. This is gonna seem weird, but there's not enough of that in this film, and that's what I was craving the most for. And don't worry, it does leave a lot of questions up in the air for everyone to answer. But for me, the way I would have structured this film was have one continuous flow throughout the film. No jumping to the past, no jumping to the present, just start from the very beginning and go right to the end. No jumping in between. And for me, that would have raised more questions. Plus, the flashbacks that they cut to every so often, I felt like they could have cut out, and they definitely slowed the film down. Another thing I wasn't too fond of in this movie was the first half hour of this film. Pretty much the first half hour is spent introducing us to the characters, filling in their backstories, and this entire half-hour section was the slowest part in the film. But it's once they enter the Shimmer, that's when the film starts to get interesting. I know I'm picking on this film a little bit, but I'm just pointing out flaws that stuck out to me. If these flaws don't bother you, then you're going to enjoy the film. One more thing I want to bring up, it's just a nitpick, but it's there. The characters lacked heart in this film, and it was hard for me to feel any emotional resonance with them. Garland's previous film, Ex Machina, had two great characters that I could emotionally get behind, and those characters were played by Domhnall Gleeson and Alicia Vikander. And the reason those two characters worked was they both gave touching performances. You could feel what they're going through. You could feel their struggle. Here with Annihilation, it was hard for me to get behind any of these characters, especially Natalie Portman. But getting back into the positives, like I said, the visual effects are breathtaking to say the least. In some ways, I got a 2001 A Space Odyssey feeling off this film. Near the end of the film, Natalie Portman comes across this strange object, and this kind of felt like the ending to 2001, where there's many colors just flashing in your face, and even the music score added a lot during the scene. Overall, I'm gonna score this film lower than you might think. While I love this film, I wouldn't consider it a masterpiece. And I would just say I enjoyed this film. I wouldn't say I appreciated it, but I would still recommend seeing it. But if you do intend to see it, you have to know what you're going in for. Because if you're unfamiliar with anything Garland has ever done, you're going to be lost. And you may very well hate the film. So be warned, this isn't going to be an ordinary science fiction film that you generally see. And I'm going to give Annihilation a 7.5 out of 10. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what you see, be sure to like my Facebook page, follow me on Twitter, and subscribe to my channel below. As always, I'm NETX5. Thank you for watching.